Jason Knowles is here tonight with what the I-Team is working on for our news tonight after the game. And Jason, what do people need to know about their federal student loans?
Well, it's big news. Everybody's been talking about this today. I've had a lot of people stopping by and asking me what's going on with the federal student loans. Here's the deal. 45 million people who borrowed money on those federal student loans will have to start paying that money back this month. The interest actually already started to accrue in September. That pandemic pause ended and people will not be getting partial forgiveness of that $10,000 or $20,000 like they thought they'd get. So it's kind of like a double whammy here. First of all, those bills are coming back and they're not going to get the forgiveness. Of course, as we know, that was struck down by the Supreme Court this summer. So here's what people need to do. I mean, they have to manage this debt, and we've talked to experts about this, and they're going to tell us a little bit about what you have to do to manage that debt tonight after the game. The first thing they say is you have to take that debt head on. You have to have a full list. You have to see what you're dealing with, look at those bills, and then you want to check the terms and conditions of your loans. One of the tips is to tackle the smallest balance first. So if you take that smallest balance first and you pay more than a minimum payment on that smallest balance, and then you pay the minimum payment on all of the other balances, and then you continue to do that same thing until that debt is chiseled down. So it's very overwhelming, of course.
Yes, it is.
Those bills starting to come in, people, they don't want to pay it. They are going to have to start paying it now. I mean, they've had kind of a break for 3 years now. You know?
And a lot of people have treated it as such, right?
Right.
Having gotten ahead just because it was so nice to be able to just kind of forget about that as they tackled so many other things that were financially stressful. And it's really like getting another, you know, maybe a car payment back for people. So what are other ways that people can save money? How can they adjust for this new payment?
Right. I mean, it is adjusting. Also, you know, we have to talk about inflation. You can't forget that, because as all of this was happening and as those payments were being paused, and now, of course, you have to pay them back again, inflation is hitting hard. You know, people are not making the same amount of money to keep up with inflation. There are some things that you can do, though, to save, and we have some of those tips as well. The first thing you want to do is check into loan consolidation. This could be an option where you kind of bundle all those loans up into one, but experts also say before you do that, you want to make sure that your loan consolidation is not a higher interest rate than the interest rates you are already paying, because if you do that consolidation, then you could end up getting yourself into more trouble. Then you want to look into programs based on your profession. So there is still some help and possible forgiveness for people depending on your profession. And you're going to see this from the guy that we talked to tonight. The gentleman is in public service. And if you're in public service and in that sector and you continue to work in the public service sector for a certain amount of time, you can actually get some of those loans forgiven. So there is still some hope, some chance for some forgiveness. This could also work for certain professions. Also, if you're a lawyer, if you're in the medical profession, you're going to want to check with the Department of Education to see if you do qualify for that. Another thing, this is a really good tip, you're going to want to check with your employer to see if they can actually match more money on your 401k if you're paying a student loan. So call HR and ask. I mean, more money coming in, you're not going to see that right away, but that 401k can go up, and of course, the more money you're getting, the better you are off, or you're off in the long run, of course.
I'm going to be ringing up Disney after this.
I know, all that money.
This guy right here has some student loans.
Excellent advice. Learned so much. Who knew? Because we've all been there before, for sure. We know what that feels like to graduate with all that debt. So,
and there's definitely things you can do to tackle it. We're going to have more at 10 o'clock tonight. Lots of tips.
All right.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, right after the NFL Monday Night Football. Thanks so much, Jason, for that. Take a look at